to tell you guys, I got, you guys, hi, Sharon. You know that in the drone business, we get some of the wildest like stories, right? So last night I got a phone call from a rabbi in the lower Philadelphia area, and he wanted to hire me to fly a menorah in with my drone and land it in the middle of the festival that they were having at nighttime.
Wow.
Price, and he was like, "Oh no, we can't afford that." But I mean, never ever could I have ever imagined that I would get a phone call to fly a menorah into, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, into a Hanukkah festival. That's pretty cool, right?
Wouldn't it be hard to keep the candles lit?
I don't know. I didn't exactly. I was thinking maybe we would do one, we would do one that would be already like pre-lit lights.
Digital.
Yeah, exactly. LED lights or something, because otherwise I don't know how that would happen. But
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. It was like, he's like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I came downstairs. I said to my husband, "You're never going to believe the phone call I just got today." So
That's what I say. The opportunities are endless, right?
That's right. And I guess the
Awesome.
big thing that I want to say, like we're on the drone, we're on our drone call, is that, people outside of our worlds, they're starting to think innovative. They're starting to think of drones and like how cool it would be. So, the sky's the limit, and it's only the beginning. So hi, Anna.
Yes. And that's actually a really perfect segue to our spotlight speaker, because innovation is amazing. And I'm really excited to be hearing what Angad has to say today about Brinc, who is our spotlight speaker today. And so I'm going to turn things over to you and make you our spotlight. And thank you and welcome aboard, Angad. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks, Desi, for having me on. Thanks, Kim. I appreciate it. I know that I've been on this before, I believe.
Yes, you have.
Except from a previous role at a different time. And I think a lot has changed for me personally in the last year and a half, or whenever I was on this last. And a lot's changed in the drone industry. And I think that there's some cool updates.
Yeah, great to have you. Yes, definitely.
And hey, Vic, how are you? Hey, Ernest, I definitely see some familiar faces going through the list. So that's really
That's
awesome.
your office, is it on good? Did they give you a better office than that?
That's right.
I actually chose this office on purpose because
everybody leave me alone, right?
It has the best windows, and absolutely I am left alone. My primary function is as a salesperson for this company. So when I spend 8 hours, 9 hours a day on the phone, it's nice to be able to stare out the window at all the folks walking their dogs. And I'll give you a view here. If this was on my phone, I would have given you an office tour, but actually I might as well I'll give you a 2-minute about Brinc drones, and then I'm going to move my laptop and just very quickly show you this new facility, because I don't think anybody in the commercial world has seen it before. So very quickly, let's just talk about Brinc drones as a brand, and then myself. I'll start off with who I am first. How about that? So my name is Angad Singh. I'm now currently the Director of Business Development at Brinc Drones. I like drones. I've been in the drone industry for a while now. I think a lot of folks that enter this industry, they come in it. There's kind of three kind of typical avenues of where folks come into the drone industry from, right? They come in it through the aviation aspect, where they're really interested in helicopters or airplanes and see drones as the next flying aircraft, right? These UAS systems that go through the air, and the aviation aspect, the aerodynamic aspect is definitely very intriguing. Then I think there's folks that come into the industry through the filmography side or the photography side, where they realize that these drones are nothing more than flying cameras, and they can provide us a beautiful new view, right? A great narrative for storytelling or for providing perspective shots, etc. And then there's folks that come at it purely from the data side. And I think that's the angle that I joined this industry from. So I studied GIS and remote sensing, analysis of satellite imagery and geospatial data. And what I found is that satellites are very far away. And when you're looking at the Earth trying to learn something, and there's a cloud in the way of your satellite imagery, you're not learning so much. But when you put a drone with a camera at a particular angle or the perspective that you yourself can learn something, I think that's really fascinating. And that's the angle that I came at this industry from. And that's why my first professional foray into the world of drones was Pix 4D, where I was there for 4 years. And I left Pix 4D January 31st of this year. and to join Brinc Drones. And the reason I did that is, one, I think that I wanted a significant step up in my career. And Pix 40 is an amazing brand, but to be one of the first 10 guys at a very hyper growth American tech startup is a fascinating thing. And so I was employee number 6 here at Brinc Drones. And I'll just tell you the inception story very quickly of this company. And that's that some may know the name Brett Kanda. Brett used to be at FLIR. So he was sort of under Randall Warness at FLIR. Well, the two of them were, sort of the two folks that were the most public facing at FLIR, the thermal company, for their commercial UAS program. And so Brett and I have a good relationship. We were buddies. We are buddies. And so Brett calls me about Thanksgiving of last year and says, "Hey, Angad, I'm going to go join this startup called Brinc, and I'm going to be the first employee." And I was like, "Wow, Brett, you have a family, you have 3 dogs, you have to pay tuition for a kid coming up here soon. Do you want to join a startup right now?" And he said, "Angad, this is the right move. These opportunities, they don't come so often in life." And I said, "Okay, Brett, well, if you say it like that, I mean, it's awesome you're calling me. I feel a lot of deep respect for that. So let's get on a call." So I FaceTimed with Blake. And Blake is this incredible young individual. He's 21 years old today. He started this company when he was 17. Very quickly, so Blake Resnick, when he was 14, he was the youngest accepted ever to Northwestern Engineering College. He went to the Dean of Engineering at Northwestern and he said, "I want to take master's classes." The Dean said, "You're 14. You cannot do that." And then he said, "All right, see you later, buddy." And he started cold calling McLaren Auto in London. And at 15, he went over to London and he worked for McLaren Auto. And at 16, he went to Tesla in Palo Alto and he worked for Tesla on the battery technology there as an intern. And then at 17, he worked at DJI in the Palo Alto office, which some folks may not know, but the Palo Alto office of DJI, right? DJI being the biggest drone company in the world, the best drone company, we're all aware of that. At one point, they did have some 200 or 150 plus employees in the United States. I think today the story of DJI is an interesting one, and they no longer have that many employees. They maybe have 10 in the US. I'm not 100% sure on the exact number. I shouldn't comment, but regardless, there was a time when they had a lot of folks. And so Blake, at that point, he's 17 years old. He's interested in drones, and he says, "I'm going to start my own company," and Brinc. And so he starts Brinc Drones out of his mother's house, not the garage, but the living room, because I think the garage is a little cold. I don't know why in the startup world, there's always that story of the garage. The living room is definitely more comfortable. So he's in the living room and he builds these really fascinating 600-pound drone in a box solution, which I'll show you. I'll drag my laptop out there. And he has a patent on it for the drone mesh network. And then the story takes a slight tragic turn where October 1 shooting happens in Las Vegas. Some of you may recognize this event as the largest crime scene in US history. 56 people unfortunately died that day. And it took quite a lot of time to identify where the shooter was in the Mandalay Bay Hotel. And also it took some time for the SWAT team to get there. And quite frankly, there was a long corridor, a hallway from the elevator bay to the room where the shooter was, that there was no cover. And so Blake cold calls Las Vegas SWAT and he says, "Hey, I want to build you a robot. I want to build you a drone or something that could reduce the time of that incident, that could genuinely enable change in a positive way when it comes to law enforcement and policing." And I think this story also bodes very well with the year that we had with law enforcement last year, which I'll comment on in a moment. And so Blake takes this journey and he starts going on SWAT call outs. Can you imagine a 6'4" kid with a giant, orange ginger, fro kind of style hair? He looks a bit like a mad scientist. It's fantastic. He's a really amazing individual. And so Blake goes on these call outs and he R&Ds everything on the lemur. And that's the drone that we are providing in the market today. And then fast forward to last year, Brett Kanda calls me and he says, "Angad, I'm going to go join this company. Do you want to be on my team?" And I said, "Yeah, let's check it out." So I FaceTimed with Blake and we had an amazing hour-and-a-half conversation. I mean, really remarkable. And then I took some time off from Pix 4D and I flew out to Las Vegas, Nevada. And I spent 3 days in the office. And by the end of the first day, I knew that this was the journey that I should go on. And I knew it would be a challenging one. And I knew it would be a step up and significantly harder than what I was doing. But it's been amazing. And in the last close to a year now, this is almost a year since the inception of this firm, We've now grown to some 65 individuals. We've made seven figures in revenue. We've provided, we have close to 100 systems out there, 100 clients and unique individual end clients. We were on Fox Business last week. You can find that recording online. And Blake has received a series initial seed round last year, which he used to hire the first 10 of us. And then after that, he raised a $25 million Series A at $120 million valuation, which basically means that the investor said, we're going to give you $25 million and your company is worth $120 million. And to some people, these figures don't mean much, and they shouldn't really mean too much. They're impressive to some, and quite frankly, I don't think it really matters. I think what really matters is what's the actual technology that you have, how are you treating people, and what are you providing to the market? And that's something that here at Brinc we're doing very, very well. And so now today I'm actually calling you from the Seattle office. So we've just opened an office in Seattle starting on November 1st this year. And we're hiring engineers in this office. We've just hired an engineer that came, she was at Blue Origin. And so we're really excited to have her. That was, Jeff Bezos' space company. We had some engineers that come from SpaceX and Tesla, and our director of engineering, Colin, came from Amazon Prime's drone program, which is sort of defunct, I don't know the exact story, but we know that we're getting quite a few engineers from that program. And the idea is that Brinc Drones, we want to be a company that makes technology specifically for public safety in the service of others, niche products that are based on the input from the end user. And a big tenet is that they should all be domestically produced here in the United States. And as we know, the government, there's been a significant villainization of DJI and other Chinese brands due to information security concerns, whether valid or not. That is the reality of what we're going towards, and government procurement, both on the DoD and potentially the federal side, is going to go towards what's called NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, where essentially all of the technology must be domestically produced. That includes the electronic chips, that's the PCBs. PCB is printed circuit board. So the actual circuit boards inside of the equipment, that has to be domestically produced. The flight controllers have to be produced. The vast majority of the whole equipment should be domestically produced. And so we are on a path to NDAA compliance. Quite a few brands are. You may have heard of, in the drone industry, it's called the Blue SUAS program, run by the Defense Innovation Unit, which is it's a group out of the Bay Area that works directly with the federal government and the Department of Defense to come up with technology that essentially they certify that these drones are 100% domestically produced, or they have equipment that's, not Chinese, et cetera. And that is just, regardless of anyone's opinion on it, right? These are not political statements. These are just facts of where the United States and the drone industry are going towards. And so as American brands, right, we have to step up with American brands. In the drone industry, we've had DJI, Autel, Unique. These are all, they're all Chinese brands. And in the United States, our own drone industry has sort of suffered because we haven't had folks that have been able to proliferate large companies and produce a significant amount of equipment into the world. We have Skydio, which got, $1 billion valuation. That's called a unicorn in the tech world. Once again, I don't actually care too much about these valuations. They make the headlines. So that's why we know about them. But Skydio's come out and they have great products. They do. They have good products, and they have folks that travel to all the trade shows, and we want American brands to do really well and American startups to do awesome in this industry. Now, Brinc, I think we're going to have some success. I think that as long as we continue to treat people right and produce very good products and proliferate those to the market, we're going to do okay. In 1 year to grow to 60 something people, to open a second office in Seattle, to get the rounds of investment, to actually build drones in the United States and deliver them to end users and have the end users tell us stories of how they're using our products and enjoying our products. That's a really beautiful thing. And so really quickly, let me just, walk with my computer and just give you a quick glimpse of this office, because it is quite cool. And then I'll give you a glimpse of the base station, which is, the drone in the box solution that we're doing a lot of R&D towards. And then I'll come back and show you the lemur, which is the current product that Brinc Drones is offering into the market. So this here is the Seattle office. And quite frankly, we've only been in here for about 3 weeks. So there's not a lot of desks. There's not a lot of people.
Oh, we're losing connection a little bit.
Oh, you're losing connection. That's not good.
Just a little bit. It's looking a little choppy. You're back. Try it now.
You know what? Let me go it
Yeah,
Wi-Fi signal is so hard in a warehouse.
yeah.
is it back?
You're
Mm,
jumping in and out.
Yeah,
Oh.
pretty choppy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oops. All right, I'll go back to
Okay,
my
now
desk.
we can kind of see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing it.
See, it's kind of a really cool space.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
the hope
nice
is that
space.
How big is that facility?
about 20,000 square feet, maybe more than that. And within the next 1 year, we should fill this with as many engineers as possible. This is the base station that Blake built. This is sort of what the R&D of the company is going towards. This is really cool. Let's see if there's a battery in this. There may not be. There is not. I should have prepared that before I started this talk. I'm going to put you on mute and ask. Anyway, do you guys see that giant 600-pound solar box? So it's a giant solar powered box that opens up, and it has cool things that are inside of it. And I'll leave that kind of as a sneak peek of the future, right? So we're not too public about that, but I did show you something that I think is really cool. And the whole drone industry is going towards this concept of a drone in the box, where you have these nests or base stations that hold these pieces of equipment that can automatically be deployed and then go in the market and collect information. So that's what the drone in the box does. So now I'll show you what our current commercial offering is, what we're actually selling and what we're actually building and providing to the market. And that's the Brinc Lemur, Lemur S actually. So we came up with the first drone called the Lemur. To preface why this is unique, why this is different than other drones, and why some of you may not have heard of it. Because we are selling exclusively to police and military. And the reason for that is, this is the only drone in the world with a two-way communication. So it's not just a flying camera, but it's a flying phone. That's the biggest thing. So when we see that, there's someone's having a bad day, there's a bad situation happening, a SWAT team gets called out, you can either have first individuals with guns enter the structure, or you can have a robot that's designed to talk to people enter the structure. So we're providing a robot that talks so that you have two-way communication. There's no weapons. It's just a camera and a phone that goes inside. And it's designed specifically to do that. And so our hope is that when you're entering these structures, right, when SWAT teams are being called out, which they do all over the country all the time, or when someone's, lost in a building that's collapsed, et cetera, that you have a drone that can go inside. Today in the market, most of the drones don't do very well inside because they're GPS, primarily focused on GPS. So like all the DJI systems, all the Autel systems, they have GPSs that keep that drone stable in the air. When you go inside, it's a GPS denied environment, so they don't work very well. Second, they use digital connection for the video. Digital connections for the video don't work so well. They're really good at giving you a beautiful picture, but they're not going to be good at what is, penetrating through dense materials, an old school or an old church, et cetera. So we use analog video connection, and that's kind of the one of the biggest components. And there's no GPS in this system. And this is the Brinc Lemur S. This is a pretty much American-made drone system that we manufacture in-house with our own labor in Las Vegas. We have a technician staff, a manufacturing staff that's there. This drone has, you'll see there's an antenna here, an antenna here. This is for 4G audio connection. So we literally put a SIM card in the drone, and it has a cell phone number, and you can just call the cell phone number and you can talk through the drone device. So the idea is put the drone into the building and talk to the person, talk to the individual, see what's happening, communicate, and let's have all of these situations end as peacefully as possible. Because our dream is that nobody should ever get hurt when, law enforcement is called out, and that, officers should be as safe as possible, suspects should be as safe as possible, and innocent bystanders should be as safe as possible. And we believe that drone technology like this can actually proliferate in the market and do that. So really quickly, let me walk you through the system and I'll show you the features of it. In the front, we have two infrared diodes. These are 840 nanometers. When I turn this on in a pitch black room, I can see very clearly about 20 feet in front of me. In the center is a wide angle FPV camera So it kind of mocks the peripheral vision of the human eye. So when it's flying down a hallway, it would be as if a human was walking down that hallway. Here in the hammerhead design, we have two microphones that are very sensitive and can listen from 20 to 30 feet away, depending on the volume of the noise. On the base of the drone here, this is a loudspeaker, a very powerful loudspeaker that you can hear from about 50 feet away, depending on what the volume control is set at. On the base of the drone here, we have a Picatinny rail with integrated power, which this means is that accessories such as a payload dropper, or we actually do have what's called a glass breaker, which is just a spinning blade that can go and break glass to enter a structure. That's another reason that we require training on this system. And we only sell to police and military because the glass breaker is definitely, I mean, the idea is it's a safer alternative to breaking glass than already exists today in the market. But it's also a little dangerous. It's a spinning blade on a drum. So obviously we do training and we are very careful who we sell to. And if it's a commercial client, we probably won't sell you the glass breaker because that's not safe. Then on the base of the drone, we have the speaker system. From a flight perspective, right, it doesn't have a GPS, so what keeps it stable in the air? This here is a laser unit or a LiDAR. The LiDAR goes down on the ground and kind of keeps the drone hovering in place so that if we go up or we go down, it will return to its original altitude. So it's more like driving an RC car through a building than a full manual helicopter that you have to control the altitude as well as go left and right and forward. On the top of the drone, we have a heat sink, a large piece of metal that proliferates heat. For example, today in indoor operations, a lot of folks are going to be utilizing DJI Mavic Minis. They put prop cards on them and they put them inside, and then they go inside and they set it down on the carpet, and the heat sink is on the base of a DJI Mavic Mini, and the drone overheats and turns off. So we have the heat sink on the top of it, so it won't do that. Then, if we look at the actual frame, it's like an incredibly robust frame. I mean, I'm very happy to just, to drop the thing on the ground. Like it doesn't, really matter. You can bang it into walls at 20 miles an hour repeatedly, and it's not going to break. It's a very, very tough device. I like to call that a rigidity test when I go on a demo and I, plug it in and just fly it into the wall 20 times at 20 miles an hour. So it is a very, very tough construction. It is all American made. It has turtle mode, so it can flip over if it's on its back. If it's upside down, it'll flip over like that. And then this is the battery. This is very unique. Most companies on the market are using lithium polymer chemistries. We are using a lithium ion chemistry today. It's a hard sell. It will not swell. So if you've had those DJI batteries and you get to 70 charge cycles and then the thing bloats, it's very dangerous. If your battery ever bloats, you have to recycle that battery and you must be very, very careful with it. I have seen them explode before. It is incredibly dangerous. In fact, there was a fire department in the United States. I don't know where. I do know where, but I won't share because it's a sad story. They were charging Phantom 4 Pro batteries and they lit their fire station on fire and they burned down 2 trucks. So lithium polymer batteries are very dangerous. Everyone should know that in the drone industry. Like, never leave the battery plugged in. When it's done charging, unplug it. Okay, store them in LiPo bags. It's not a joke. They're very dangerous. So we use lithium ion, which is much, much, much safer. And also it does significantly better in performance in temperature. So -20 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. We know because, I mean, we're manufacturing in Las Vegas. I've sat this battery with a temperature probe on it on the asphalt in 120-degree air temperature, which means the asphalt temperature is about 135 Fahrenheit. And this drone will perch and send video back home for up to 10 hours. So our battery life is industry leading for the size of the drone. It's 31 minutes. That's what us as the manufacturer state. If you're really ripping on the sticks, it's going to be about 25 minutes of battery life. And it does last 500 charge cycles, whereas a lot of those DJI batteries or the LiPo batteries last 70 charge cycles. When you plug in the drone, so you just set it on a flat surface and it'll have these 2 chimes that go basically to indicate that the LiDAR is now calibrated, and you plug it in with a physical. So we have a physical screw that plugs into the battery. The reason for this is one of our direct competitors, the Sky Hero Loki. If you slam the Sky Hero Loki into a wall, the battery pops out. So we put a physical screw there so that when you slam it into the wall, nothing happens. The battery doesn't pop out. The drone continues to fly and operate as it should. We have 3 radios in our drone. Command and control is on 915 megahertz, which is an analog video signal. And then the video comes back on 5.8 gigahertz. also in an analog capacity. The reason that we use analog instead of digital is because of dense signal penetration. So for example, let's look at the Surfside condo incident, right? So you may know in Miami, the Surfside condo buildings, very tragically, they fell down. And so the Surfside condo building actually in Miami, sorry, there's someone walking down the street that I recognize. I'm just telling him to go upstairs. So then anyway, so in the Surfside condo building, Miami is a client, and we were asked to come down and help from a manufacturer's perspective. Because the drone runs on analog, we were one of the only drone systems that was able to, sure, yes, they used other drones. FEMA definitely used other drones to go inside of that structure, but we are the only company with a drone that has the capability to fly through the entirety of that flooded basement. And so our drone went into that building, flew all the way in the back of the flooded basement in the Surfside condo building, showed engineers, structural engineers, exactly what it looked like. And then we brought our drone out. And because of our analog signal penetration, we have the capability to fly through a lot of material. For example, many times we'll do demos of this system in an old school building. I can go up 4 or 5 stories of the stairwell of a old school or a library through brick walls and through metal stairs before the drone will lose signal. And when we show somebody that, it's quite fascinating, right? Because a lot of technology on the market doesn't have that ability. And because of the signal penetration wavelengths that we've chosen, we're able to achieve those goals. The drone's flown through a hand controller with the integrated 7-inch screen that we make here in the United States. We have these cool gimbal designs where they fold over. So if a tactical operator has this carabiner onto themselves, these won't get snagged. So you can just flip them up. I find that quite fascinating. So it's a good feature. And then you turn it on and it's got this really cool green light. And so now, let me turn the battery on. So the drone's on, it's live streaming video. Show you what it looks like on the hand controller. And so you can see what it looks like from the outside, right? So within 30 seconds, this thing is basically ready to go into the air. I think this is the fastest out of the air and into the, the fastest drone that's out of the air or out of the box into the air on the market. Within 30 seconds, it's ready to go. To actually arm the drone, and it is right next to me. I'm aware of that. It's a little, not safe. So I know you're all drone people. Just what I'm doing right now is not safe. You can put the stick down, right? And then on the back, we have these 2 triggers, and you just go like that. Now the drone's on. And I'm not going to fly it right here, but it's on and it works. Yep, and that's the drone system right there. So that is how the Brinc lemur works. And I think I can take some questions. The other thing that would be really fascinating is if you give me a second and I can go and see if one of my guys here will just fly it really quickly into the wall a couple times. And I'll just hold the camera because I can't hold the laptop and fly the drone at the same time. Does that make sense?
I
Go
like
for it. Go for it. We're waiting.
Okay.
We're waiting.
I'm going to
go
just
for it.
put you on mute and be right back.
Yep,
I
no problem.
apologize for the minute interruption.
Yeah, no problem.
Big
So now we
sound.
get to talk about him.
That's right.
There we go. What an amazing drone. Is that not awesome? It feels like they've just thought of everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just the way that he dropped the drone. I mean, that's always like, I remember one of my first buddy that I was with drones with, he dropped his Phantom 3 walking, through the dining room and smashed the gimbal, so
Yeah.
delicate little babies.
Yeah.
Turtle feature, yes. I mean, come on, that's so cool. Flips back over. I like the glass breaker. Like I mean it, so many people are so stupid with their dogs. You guys who have pets, and they leave their dogs in the car when it's like, 100 degrees or even 80 degrees is too hot. So
Yeah.
break that glass with that drone.
And when he comes back, Vic had a question up there. Go ahead, Vic. You just unmuted too.
Oh, I was going to ask him, but you want me to ask now?
Well, we could ask him.
Oh,
if
okay.
We're wanting to be specific about it.
Sure,
Knowing
sure.
him, we'll find out. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, that's
Amazing
great.
technology in the use of the different battery types and such like that.
Well, and two, just the whole impressiveness of, I mean, just the American dream. I mean, we're all entrepreneurs. A lot of us are on here, and it's so great. We can kind of rag on kids nowadays, the generation stuff. It's so great to see a kid that, knows how smart he is and is unstoppable. Like, that just is so impressive to me, like, he's a unicorn, right? So definitely.
Angad is back, and
I am back.
Vic
This
had
is-
a question for you.
Oh, go ahead. Really quickly, I just want to introduce Joey.
Hi, Joey.
Joey's
Hi,
from
Joey.
Northern Cal. Everyone's saying hi, Joey. Joey's from Northern California. He's our electrical engineer. So he designs a lot of the electrical chips in the drone itself. And he very kindly agreed to last minute come over and fly this thing for us. So
Awesome.
Spontaneous.
this
We
is the
like it.
drone. So have you ever just thrown a drone across the wall? And Joey will just go
Not
ahead
if I wasn't mad.
Post
Joey's-
crash, maybe.
Joe is going to go ahead and arm it.
What a great place. What a great space.
Yeah. And he's going to take
Now
it
we
up in
can
the
really
air
see it. Nice.
and just kind of take it down the hallway and come back. Vic had a question, sorry?
Yeah, let's see that 20-mile-an-hour crash.
That we can also see, yeah. So he's just going to see. Oh, isn't it cool the lights are turning on as the drone's flying?
So is it really that quiet?
Yeah. I mean, you can hear it from my mic, right? This is a professional microphone, so you
Yeah, I
should be able
can't
to
really
tell.
hear it. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, is it really that quiet?
Yeah, let's go check. I'm right next to it now. Can you hear it?
Barely.
Okay. Well, now Joey will go ahead and slam
Oh,
some
now I
concrete.
hear it. Now I hear it. Okay.
Not, yeah. Just stays in the air. Right?
Wow.
So it's an incredibly stable platform. It really is. It truly is a remarkable piece of technology. I think, here at Brinc, we're very proud of what we've been able to provide to the market. So, Joey, can you show him turtle mode really quick? This is a very
How
fun.
much does that
official
drone
video.
weigh?
2.4 pounds with a battery in it.
Oh,
Yeah, turtle mode. And then the last thing I'd like to show you is we're just going to go into the bathroom here, and I'm going to turn the light off and shut the door, and we'll turn the night vision on the controller. And I'll just show you what it looks like.
ooh, we're going in the bathroom. What a demo, man.
Okay. Yeah. Joey's
You never
chuckling.
know what's coming on the coffee connection.
Okay, so here with the hand controller, now you can see it's completely pitch black in the bathroom, but that's the night vision. So you can see very, very clearly what's happening in the bathroom, which is the dark room. That's why we went in there.
That's
So-
right.
There he is. There he's waving at us. So that's really funny. Joey,
Yeah.
everybody waves back at you.
Yes.
They thought that was very cute. Thank you so much. I appreciate that greatly.
Yeah. Thank you,
Um,
Joey.
Cool.
Anything else?
No, I'm done. Yeah, thanks.
Sounds good.
You want to take the drone? You want me to take it?
It's your turn.
I'll take it.
It's my
I'll
turn.
take it. Sure,
Everybody
give
on
it
the
to
call
me.
is like,
Go ahead.
I'll take it.
well, that's very fun. Thank you guys for watching that. I do appreciate
That
it.
was awesome. Thank
sir.
you.
Yeah, I
Very.
should have thought ahead of time that like I should have just done a live flight demo for you, but I'm glad we pulled that off anyways.
No, it was perfect. It was
So-
perfect. It was perfect
like-
just the way it was.
I like to sit in a chair and just fly it up the stairs and fly it around the office and go stare at people in their offices. And actually, it happens to me quite often too, where I'll be on a call, and because we have glass doors in this office, suddenly I'll just see a drone come up and like they'll stick it into the door, and they'll just like lean it up into the door and just try to peer at me. And then every once in a while, Joey will give it a call, and then they'll talk to me through the drone. So Joey did design the whole 4G chip, which is really, really cool. So he's very.
So
Does it wo-
do
does
you
it work?
said that it does have sensors on it, or it doesn't require sensors?
Doesn't have any obstacle avoidance sensors. What we
Okay,
found is
that's
that
okay. Yeah.
what we've discovered is that obstacle avoidance sensors actually don't allow you to achieve what you want to achieve, right? Because
Thank
they
you.
avoid
Thank
hitting
you.
stuff. So
Yep.
our goal is just hit stuff and just have the drone be super tough so it doesn't break. And we've been able to achieve that, and it's working out really well. I mean, you saw me drop it a couple times. We slammed it into the wall. This is very, very tough piece of equipment, and it's very tough because it's comprised of a very unique material. I will not tell you what the material is, but the material itself is carbon fiber and nylon blended in a unique way. And then inside the actual frame, we've obviously designed it with a lot of triangles, and so it's very tough. And so it's a cool piece of equipment. I see 20 questions in the chat. I didn't actually look at the chat.
So Vic, I know you had one. Go
I
ahead.
do. First of all, we need to get you guys out here next year and to our UAS roundup, which is First Responder Roundup drone conference here in Colorado next fall. So I'll be in touch about that.
Yeah, absolutely, Vic. You got my email, Vic. I think
you know
even
what?
have
I
my
have your
phone.
old email. You know what? I do have
Well,
your
let
phone
me
number.
post it. Do you mind if I post?
Yeah, post his
it?
phone number. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Not
Oh,
the
yeah, well,
person-
maybe another phone number, but I'll do
But,
that.
I actually stopped using my personal phone number for work because
You're
too
a
many
smart
people
man.
had it, and then
Oh, I do have that.
I get
That's right.
called.
Sorry.
You have it. I know you have
Yeah,
it.
I
You
do.
call
I
me.
do.
Oh, you already.
But
put
my
it in.
question is, when you mentioned the two-way comms, my first thought was search and rescue, because there's the one-way comms, obviously, with a couple different things, but that two-way, especially here in the mountains of Colorado, if you could do that and land in a clearing next to somebody, and you can do some preliminary damage assessment on the person,
Mhm.
that would be phenomenal. I don't know if you guys are looking at building a bigger one to do that with or not, but just to plant that bug.
I'm not super sure, to be honest. I think I
Just
try
a
not
thought.
to like
about wind
I focus
speeds?
on this guy. Oh, 30 miles an hour, Kim.
Okay.
Like, we'll fly this thing outside. We'll rip it at like 30 miles an hour. It'll work. Actually, I'm on my laptop. Can I screen share?
Sure.
Okay, just give me a moment,
Yes.
and I will show you guys a cool video that I think you will like. Let me find the video first. And then
No, okay.
I'll-
So
Oh,
I
here it
know
is.
you said that this is geared towards public safety and such, but as far as a general user, is this accessible for somebody that just as a
If
general
you-
user could use it?
If you want to buy one, I may sell it to you, depending on what the end application is. I think there's an incredible use case for confined space inspection, especially in spaces with a lot of radio frequency interference or other unique pieces of equipment. I think there's an amazing use case in the mining sector for
Which was my
underground.
thought.
Yes, because it's night vision, it's GPS denied, flying through caves, flying through tunnels, inspection of subway lines. Like, yes, there's absolutely a tremendous amount of ability of this equipment. I mean, anytime you have to go inside where the GPS does not work and you have to fly through dense material, this is the piece of equipment that's going to do it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so have you ever seen a drone fly through the woods like this?
Sometimes they play choppy, so we'll.
Wow. Definitely has the FPV aspect.
Yep. So Kim said the FPV aspect. Absolutely. Maybe you've seen videos of a system like this. That's a complete FPV racing drone.
Totally.
But those are much, much, much harder to fly and take a
Sure.
tremendous amount of practice as compared to the Brinkley.
Sure.
So are you on the sticks here? Angad?
Sorry? No, I was not flying. This was Chase. He's one of our demo pilots. I was actually just running around videotaping it.
I guess you were running around, man. He's all over the place.
Oh, this is fun. I really like this.
Wow, wow.
Here he goes.
So when you say it's much more stable than FPV drones, and how is that achieved?
Through the LiDAR, I think primarily through the laser sensor that's on the base of the drone. So in the software, we have our autonomy engineers. So the guys that work with, the AI built into the actual laser sensor to maintain the altitude of the drone system. And the other thing is the drone's calibrated for bidirectional forces. So for basically like, let's say you're flying down inside of a hallway and there's an AC gust or outdoors like the wind. The propeller wash from the drone is going down and the AC is pushing it, but inside the computer's calibrating for that and correcting the drone so that it stays in the air. So there's some secret sauce in the software, absolutely. I mean,
When he was flying through those trees, I mean, was he hitting branches?
Yeah, just keep
But
going.
it didn't seem to affect the drone.
Not too much, it's just
Right.
like when you guys saw it hit the concrete wall, right? Like it hits the concrete wall and it kind of comes off and it stays pretty stable in the air. I mean, yeah, there's absolutely times you're going to crash it really hard. I mean,
Right.
if I was flying like the tree like that, I would probably have crashed it, but then I would have just turtle moded it back over and gone back in the air and it would have been okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Very impressive. So we do have a couple comments in there. Truly amazing drone. She works in law enforcement and we'll love to reach out to you.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
she
My
says,
email's there.
Gloria says, thank you for the demo. Yeah, so amazing. Got a couple more popping up in here. What is the base model price for this amazing tech?
$9,000.
Around, well, there you go. Well, look.
Yeah, you can add, it's $9,000 for the drone. Accessories kit's $2,000. The video receiver box, which I didn't show you, that's $3,000. Basically, that extends the video signal of the drone. It changes it from 5.8 to 2.4 gigahertz, which is a longer wavelength video signal. So on domestic operations, if you're flying through a multi-story condo building, etc., they're able to put that box outside and change the video signal so that it does a little bit better job. And then, the reality is it's an incredibly easy aircraft to maintain as well. Anything outside of the core of the body can be field repaired. And the biggest takeaway is that it's a flying phone, right? We designed this thing for negotiations. We designed this thing for talking to people, communicating. I think all of us, right? The more we communicate, typically the better off we are. Right? Like when we're having a problem with someone, if you can communicate with that person rather than, use brute force or be passive aggressive. In my personal life, that's also something that I try to keep thinking about too, is that we constantly have to communicate with each other as human beings. And I think that, sometimes a human being's in a place where you can't communicate to them without a robot. And so if they're inside of a building or they're stuck somewhere, here's a drone that can go and help them and talk to them. And that's really why we designed it. Something else I want to really emphasize is that if you go on brincdrones.com, our ethics page is there. You can absolutely read the ethics page. You can read what the company morals are and what we believe in. That's very, very important for a company like ours to make sure that the world understands our ethics and understands our morals and understands that we're never going to weaponize a system and that everything we do is for peace and everything that we do is for de-escalation. And then that's just something that I really try to reiterate as well.
Awesome. Fantastic technology. I know everyone is just loving it. Sheila said people are talking to the drones too. It's amazing technology, and to get a live demonstration today. Who knew? Right.
What about training on the drone? Like when you have that base price of $9,000, like do you offer training?
It's $800.
How's that work?
So it's $800 a head for training, and you come to Las Vegas and you train in Las Vegas with that.
Okay, great. So you could actually buy the drone, come down to Las Vegas, learn to fly it, and then you're on your way.
Yep, and we do require training on the system for folks to take it home. We're one of the only manufacturers that's doing that today, and that's because sometimes we're selling. It's a tool, right? It's not a toy. And when a tool is utilized in a professional atmosphere, you need to know how to use that tool. And so for us, I don't want to sell it to somebody and have it sit on a shelf. That is the last thing that we want. We want this thing to, we want it to be fun and to be used.
And as far as flying, go ahead, Desi.
I was just going to say, and to all that it's capable of doing. You know, so often we get a drone and we don't use it to its full capacity.
And then
Absolutely.
as far as flying, it's just like we're flying our drones that we fly now, right? Same techniques.
Same techniques. I mean, the one thing is you do have to have a better control over the altitude and understanding how to go up and down. And something else that a lot of folks are new to, regardless of how many years of drone experience they have, is flying it into a wall and being comfortable with that. And
Yeah.
being comfortable with flying up and down stairs and being comfortable with, oh, there's a tree. Let me just go through the tree. You know, these are
Right.
things that are very counterintuitive to the way that we've been flying for a long time.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
like I remember 6 years ago, I was flying a SenseFly EB, 7 years ago now, the SenseFly EB over a construction site in Asia and somewhere. And I was in the, you know, I had to take this drone abroad, fly on the airplane with it, and have the hassle of flying on an airplane international. And then I almost hit a cliff. And, you know, at the time that was like a $30,000 piece of equipment, really early days, you know, and so when it almost goes into a cliff, you kind of sit there going, yep, that's my last day today.
Mhm.
And it didn't hit didn't hit the cliff, but
Well, that's good.
this one you can hit the cliff with, it's okay.
So what about the
Keep it
data
open.
that's
Oh,
collected?
Everything's on the SD card, so as soon as you plug in the battery, it's automatically recording both voice and camera to the SD card that's directly on the drone itself.
Would there be any openness to having maybe a group training session for Women in Drones members that are interested in coming out and having a group training session?
Potentially, I think that one thing that we do try to really keep in mind is that we are selling these things specifically to law enforcement, public safety. So it could be women in drones thing. That's absolutely cool. But I want to see what the end application is, because we know that in the future, we just need to be careful who we're selling to and what
Gotcha.
the end use case is. But yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to buy some drones and come for training, of course, I'm a salesman.
Okay.
I'll sell you a drone. I won't sell you a glass breaker unless you're like law enforcement, but we'll sell the drone.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Wait, yeah.
How much extra is the icebreaker? I'm like totally into that thing, man.
The glass breaker comes in the accessories kit, which is $2,000. But
Okay.
we're
Not
very,
bad,
very
not
careful
bad.
with who gets that.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
What a phenomenal drone. Everybody's excited to see it. Loved our demonstration.
Jim, you've been pretty quiet. What's
I
your
know, what's
thoughts,
up with Jim?
Jim Bonadell? You've been pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Impressed?
Yes, I'm sorry. What was the question?
I said you've been pretty quiet. What's your take on all this?
Well, you know, I mean, it appears to be a fantastic drone. I mean, and it is very well suited for a law enforcement, that type of responsive environment. So, you know, I actually kind of impressed. Us too, where we have a Xeno with a speaker on it, but it's one way. It's just blasting out commands. It's not two way, and it's also designed to be up at 300 feet. So, I mean, I support that speaker technology. We're using it here. It is incredibly loud and clear. So I think this one has real good potential. And us too, we use Tesla cells also. We're long done with LiPo sacks of explosion. So
Yeah, it's very scary, Jim.
Yeah.
I agree. It's very scary.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also,
Cool.
Angad just said that the box comes with the drone, the Pelican case, 2 batteries, spare parts, plus tools and the charger. So
And the controller. Yeah. it's just
little
right there.
package. Nice package. And while you were out, I was saying how it just, you've thought of everything, the little details, right down to the sticks and, you know, just the details
Well,
involved.
that comes from a very powerful culture of user feedback.
yeah,
Really,
I think those
yeah,
gimbals are amazing.
you have
Yeah,
to listen,
definitely.
right? And so the fact that the original lemur was R&D with, you know, a major metropolitan SWAT team in the field on multiple callouts, and then the lemur S comes from feedback from the training team and the original, you know, 20 odd customers. It's just listening, and it's having a very serious, you know, culture around that. I mean, every week on a Monday, we have a meeting called Lemur Problems, and the company comes together, engineers, R&D, production, training, sales, etc. And everybody just, you know, tells what the customer grievances are, what their personal grievances are. And there has to be a culture of openness, and you must be able to communicate what's good for the product. And we do that, and we're very serious about it here. And we take every problem very seriously. And Blake also has a company tenet of work fast, be fast. Don't sit on a problem, fix the problem, and move on to the next problem. And I think that those are things that a startup can do very, very well. And it's something that we are doing very, very well. And that's like one thing I didn't mention was every client that has a Lemur, the original drone, we're going to go ahead and ship them a Lemur S for free, because they took a bet on us when we were a new brand. And now after a year and a half or so, there's a lot of logged flight hours. There's thousands of them. There's a number of products in the field. There's plenty of success stories. And so now it's a thank you to the folks that were there originally.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing with us and all the great information that you shared. Our flight demo, much better than we were even expecting.
That's right.
Wow,
Way to go with the flow.
And thank you very much for having me on, and I appreciate it. And, I know that this group has been going strong for some time now, so keep it up, guys. I think this is really, really cool. So.
Thank you for
so
your
much.
support. Thank you.
And congratulations on your new position. It's great, to see, a lot of times, people make changes, and I'm really happy for you that I remember when I met you at Drone U, you just impressed the heck out of me because you're such a wealth of knowledge, and you've flown all over the country, all over the world, so when you were coming on, and you've switched companies, and you're taking your bet on stuff, you're not like hanging yourself in just one company. I think people really require to stay flexible in this business. I was just talking, like I do shared office space for my office, and I think of a brick and mortar, but in this game, I really want to stay flexible. I want to stay flexible and always be able to roll when I need to roll. So I appreciate that. It's great to see, people that have been in the business from the very beginning, like you have, making new decisions and having a brighter future. And what I love is that, you are talking about law enforcement, and this drone, and the drones that are coming up could be really detrimental if they're in the wrong hands.
Yeah, and that's why you got to be really careful with who you sell to. And this is just, it's an interesting conversation, right? We've had a tumultuous year with society's relationship with law enforcement in the last year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think technology is a way to innovate out of problems.
Totally.
Regardless of whether you think the problem exists or not, right? I'm not commenting on that at all.
Right, sure.
But it's good to give to new tools and innovation, right? The only thing in life that's constant is change. So.
And taxes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Woo, are we feeling that already, man? Woo, the gas prices. I was just like, they've changed so much.
Yeah,
so definitely. Yeah, I love it. I love like you said, it's just that bridging the gap, the gaps that are out there. And I see it just even in my business as a drone trainer. So it's awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Yep. That passion, that's what's so interesting, even when we're talking about stuff that isn't so popular. Like we had the women on Jay that were actually they were part of the drone, flying the drones during the Surfside incident. And talking about something so tragic, but because we're using technology, there's this underlying passion that supersedes the kind of sorrow of the incidents, and we're like talking about tragedy, but yet look at what we're doing to help with this technology. It's kind of wild, It's very emotional, I guess is what I want to say. It's an emotional industry.
Yeah, because it's changing and it's growing and it's proliferating, and a lot of us, we haven't actually been here that long.
Right. True.
It's not we're nowhere near even, there's even no big American brand. How is that possible yet?
Yeah. Right.
High tech, yes, of course, Jim. I know. I'm at Brinc, but how many employees do we have?
Right.
We have 60 something here. Skydio has
beginning.
250, 300 something. Precision Hawk was there, but then they may not be there
Yep.
anymore.
Mhm.
I don't know. But the point, airware was big and then it went down, and then, so 3DR was big and then it went down. So
Mhm.
we've had these stories of up and down, up and down,
Mhm.
up and down. And now I think it's time to just keep going up.
Right.
Oh,
No, I think part of that too is just like what you're talking about. Drone ideas happen all the time. Where is the application truly beneficial? And in your specific case, I think you've got an application that really shapes up to be truly beneficial. So, people come up with drone ideas all the time. Oh, look, a drone's going to solve this. And then when they get out in the field, they really start using it. It doesn't work that
When
way.
you look at the cost benefit analysis,
Exactly.
I think that's why a lot of times an idea can be super cool, but you got to look at the business part, right? The boring numbers. If the boring numbers
True,
don't add
true.
up, it will not proliferate into the market.
Yeah.
And that, quite frankly, is the reality. But hey, this was a real pleasure. I truly
Thank
enjoyed it.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
to have you. Thank you so much.
For
Thanks
everything.
everybody for participating. That was great. Awesome.
Yes,
Thank
so just a really quick shout out for coming up. Joanna is going to be sharing
Hey,
about her
Joanna.
flights there in the Hamptons. Oh my gosh, amazing conversation I had with her. I'm so excited. We also have Parker Hill coming up. He's going to be sharing some of his information. Vic Moss. We have Erica Cooley with a loft. Oh my gosh, stay tuned every Tuesday because it's so awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
We'll see everybody next week. Thank you.
Have a great week, everybody.
Fly safe,
Great
people.
seeing you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That kind of wraps it up.